Good evening, Darkrai. Good morning, Act. Good morning, Bladeball. Hello, Two Minuets. That's actually all that's left at this point, Darkrai, so yeah. This will be today, doing this mode. Hey, Yura. Hello, Mr. Red. Way too early, Jesus. I think the platform would have moved by then. So anyways, Mr. Red. Mr. Red asked me a question. He said, Lore, why are you so extremely stupid? So here's my thinking. I think I was born that way. Because if there's one thing fiction has taught me, it's that the way you're born is what determines your entire life. And you can do nothing about that. All you can do is endure the fact that you were born not a mutant, not able to use the Force, poor. But other than that, he also is talking about this idea. Hi, Ross. So, hear this out for a second. So, we're talking about Metroidvania game design, and he had an idea, which is kind of an interesting one. But it does have a problem, which is, that sounds interesting, but is actually a terrible idea. No offense. It's actually really, really common. In fact, one of the more common things that people get used to in game design is throwing out ideas that suck. I know that sounds strange, but I mean that with total sincerity. One of the most useful things, in my opinion at least, when it comes to writing, when it comes to designing, when it comes to building, when it comes to sketching, when it comes to engineering, is just throw out ideas. See what sticks, right? So, what's the idea in question? Well, it's very simple. What if we freeze time? No, what if different party members give you different moves and tool sets as you're roaming through Metroidvania? And you only have a limited time with each one before you have to, like, return them or whatever. Now let me explain why this idea would not work as explained. So, let's say for a moment that you're going through a particular dungeon. God damn it! You're going through a particular dungeon. You're like, okay, cool, I got this. All I have to do is beat this guy, and there's a door up ahead, and the door is... It's a grate, actually. It's like, oh, okay, so I just have to move through the grate with this one guy's powers, which I don't have on me. So, okay, well, no problem. I'll just go back to town and go through the entire dungeon I just did again in order to go swap the guy out with the guy I actually need for this section. So you're already seeing the first problem with this, but here's the second problem. Hi, Valerian. Valerian is clearly the second problem. The second problem is if, like, he's out of time or whatever, the person you actually need, then you can't progress. You're just stuck there, waiting for a timer to refill. Now, I'm not trying to sound discouraging, actually quite the contrary, because one of the reasons that it's so useful to just toss out ideas is because ideas may not work as described. I died last time. But maybe they might work with a little bit of massaging, right? That is a fairly common concept, after all. Give me 1 second. I mean, how many games have we covered which were a good idea, badly implemented? Just throw some bones here. I've played D&D in like 2 months at this point. 3 months? Oh, it's been a minute. Yeah, you just refill your time with one real-world dollar. And that's the kind of mechanic that's being described there. Bad ideas done right? I mean, that's pretty much Cloud Effect in a nutshell. But off the top of my head, no, of course I can't come up with anything right now, because I'm stupid and very tired. Oh, excuse me. Rather than getting off on that, let's try to figure out how we can make this work. Let's solve that problem first. Yeah, the war table, if you remember, I was actually excited when I first saw the war table in Dragon Age Inquisition. You remember that? Silly, naive me. I was like, oh, cool, because I could see the potential that the war table had. It didn't fulfill on that potential because the war table was terrible. This is not what I was expecting as the boss. Okay. Okay. We're gonna die. We're gonna turbo die here. See, admittedly, if you tasked me with taking Mr. Red's idea and implementing it, the first thing I would say is no. Because I legitimately think that restricting movement in a Metroidvania is a bad idea. Metroidvanias are all about traversal, which is admittedly not just your movement tech, it's also about terrain design and level design, level interconnectivity, continuity. Oh my god, I can't talk. Yeah, stuff like that. So I would say, no, you shouldn't restrict a player like that. But let's assume that you're like, you pull a gun to my head and say, no! You have to do it. Think about this for a second. That's kind of what I was thinking, Darkfire. Like, maybe it was going to be some kind of a pseudo-strategy thing instead of, you know, a mobile game. Let's call it what it is. I don't know. Go up, go up, go up, go up. No, Zactav. Not at all. Oh my god, he's got so many eyeballs. Dang it. So this is the Medusa head boss, if you didn't catch that. Whoever gets that for this. I'm Morganite. I know what you meant, Zactav. I have always strongly disagreed with the idea that co-op magically makes a game less interesting. I know what you're talking about. I just disagree with it. Yeah, no, exactly, Mr. Red. Like you see why my first thought is don't do that at all. Because any solution we come up to it boils down to, or we could just not do it. For example, it's something that would probably work a lot better, even if you had the same limited situation thing, is maybe each party member gives you an attack power, not a movement power. Maybe not even a power, maybe even like a whole hit. Or maybe like the X button, this thing right here, is determined entirely by who you have in your party right now. And how long they can stay with you, and or how powerful it is, depends entirely on your reputation meter with them, essentially. I agree with that, Drunk Killer. That's a good example, actually. I can think of plenty of games that were mid or bad, that were enjoyable co-op. Look at you, Far Cry. Anyways. So... That's my knee-jerk answer, but like if we really have to make traversal tied to something we have to have a person for, and it's the kind of thing that has to have a limited timer. Let me think about that for a minute. That itch hurts. And we're dead. I don't know, honestly, Yura. Well, see, that's what I was suggesting, Darkrai, but at that point, that's defeating the point of the question. Like, we've solved the problem by throwing the idea out the window, which is fine. But I'm trying to think of a way to specifically tie it into traversal. I feel like... the best option there is to detach the traversal from Metroidiness, if that makes any sense. So, okay, let me try and explain what I mean. You know how you can only access certain areas because you have, you know, mist power-up, or you can only go through this thing because you can fly. You can only reach that because you have a double jump. In other words, those are aspects of how the level design naturally uses a traversal ability in order to gain more access to the level, right? This is in contrast to the missile concept. The missile concept is very, very simple. Do you have a key? Then you can open the door. That's totally off the table of what we're talking about, just to be very clear. So, don't use any key door, missile door concepts to begin with. Let's just start there. Second idea. Rather than having, like, double jump or some kind of... hang a second. Rather than having double jump or, say, like the moon jump or the mist form or anything like that be tied behind people, what I would probably do is I would have the specifics of how you navigate the normal space be tied to party members. Again, if you put a gun to my head here, I don't know why you keep putting guns in my head, Mr. Red. It's really kind of disturbing, but it's okay. I trust you, man. I trust you not to pull that trigger. Oh god, don't pull that trigger, please, man. I've got so little to live for. Oh, that was actually close. So, want that. Oh my gosh. Ow. I love guns too, man. Please, just don't shoot me with them. Actually, I don't love guns. I shouldn't lie. Oh my god. This is just what it is. Nope. Okay. So, as I was trying to say, yes, it did 2 minuets. But so, have you ever played Warframe, Mr. Red? Yeah, Mr. Red's gotta shoot me because he's American, which is funny, because he's not. Okay, so you know how in Warframe you can lunge and then slide and then jump and then lunge and then slide and then jump very, very quickly? It's not actually necessary for anything. It doesn't unlock anything. Oh Jesus, oh Jesus, oh Jesus, oh Jesus, oh Jesus, oh Jesus. But it is a way to move more quickly. And that's sort of my point. I would probably tie that kind of thing to party members. Do you want to have a dodge roll that allows you to roll forward and go forward very, very quickly, but only at like set intervals? That's unlocked by having the Kung Fu Dude in your party. Do you want to have a dash? Do you want to have the ability to automatically walk over monsters' heads? You get the idea? In short, it doesn't unlock anything. It isn't required for anything. It just changes the flavor of how you move quickly. And the important part would be that quickly part. Oh my god. Yep. Just Could you? Thank you. Appreciate it. So, I wasn't sure what happened when the flash happened, so I jumped out of instinct. If you're wondering what happened there. I was so thrown by that. I was just like, jump! Oh, gotcha. Enemies here hurt. Yeah, it's a rosary. Got it. So. vehemently disagree with that. Enemies should not be hitting for 2 damage, too, while we're on the subject. Okay. Daily mandated suicides here. And we're dead. I think we're gonna game over here. This mode is interesting. And we haven't been able to upgrade the whip, I've noticed, which is also interesting. For those of you not aware, in the Castlevania games, even on the NES, you can actually upgrade your whip, which increases its damage, which is very, very useful. One might even call it required. Anyways, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. The other thing I was thinking about recently was visuals. I actually already said most of this in Discord, but just to say this on camera. I realized, so a lot of game reviewers out there have entire sections of their game devoted entirely towards just talking... What? Just towards talking about the visuals of a video game. It's actually a really common thing. Most game reviewers actually have an entire section, an entire portion of the review dedicated towards visuals. What I mean by that is, you know how we cover things by gameplay and story? Imagine if we cover things by gameplay, story, and animation, or visuals. Now, the more astute of you will remember, we used to do that way, 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 way back in the very, very first iteration of how our game review system works. And that lasted for 3 games. No, I'm wrong. 5 games. 5 games. We had 5 games. And then we were like, you know what? We're done with this. Now, you're probably thinking, well, why, Lore? Well, there's 2 really big reasons, and I want to kind of discuss why. This is on my mind, not just because one of the things I hear Yura talk about all the time is the visuals of a game and whether or not they like them or not. Ah. That was even deliberate. Right, I'm gonna put a highlight marker there because holy crap. We're still probably about to die, but damn it, I get some kind of flex, right? Anyways. So, yeah, we knew that was there this time. We didn't freak out. So yeah, visuals are important. I agree, but at the same time, they have no real place in our reviews. And I want to explain why. So first of all, if visuals do not impact the story or the gameplay, which is true in a lot of games, then they're not really part of how we review things. We axie things on story and gameplay for a very good reason. If you don't understand why I mean by that, because like, how can visuals not be part of story or gameplay? Well, visuals can be there purely for their own sake. The example I used this morning was Cuphead. One moment. Now, don't mistake me. Aspects of the visuals of Cuphead do inform both story and gameplay. But you know what Cuphead looks like. Thing is, Cuphead's aesthetic has nothing to do with story and has nothing to do with gameplay. It is completely its own separate category, which has nothing to do with either. I hate to keep emphasizing that point, but it's important, because it informs the entire purpose of why my first point exists. If it's not really a part of the game in any strict sense of the word other than simply changing the aesthetics... Oh, jeez. I kill for a heal, or like a save point or something. But because it has no part of the game, then it doesn't really belong in the game review. But you're probably thinking, well, hang on, you could just add a visuals category. Which I could. Well, that leaves us with the other problem. Having to fight a boss with very low health. Okay, cool. So. Thank God that was a cutscene. Or maybe I should check mine. We're really low on lives, too. We might be doing this entire stage again here in a minute. Visuals, I mean, all reviews are subjective, obviously. But visuals, in my experience, are more subjective. Even more so than something like, say, music. Something like music is something we could generally have a gradient agreeance on. But visuals are so subjective and so dynamic to the individual taste that if I start giving games positive simply for looking good to me, then we're going to run into issues all over the place. It, in my opinion, diminishes the point of the reviews to begin with. I know that sounds strange, but my point is, if I cover a game and I say, this is a very good game, and you look at it and you don't like the visuals, then that's fine. Because now you can look at it and say, ugh. But if I cover a very good game that I think visually looks bad, and then I review the game worse, then you might look at that and be like, oh, wow, that's terrible. Also, adding a third variable to the formula would be insane, I know that I think about it. But my point is, it's so subjective that I honestly feel it defeats the point of a review to begin with. Let me explain what I mean by that. Obviously, all reviews are subjective. Duh. But subjective is not a binary thing. It's a gradient, right? And one of the things we try very, very hard to do is we are standardized, and we have systems and audits and methods to compare all games across all other games, right? We've got a pretty good system in place. I'm very proud of it. If we get too subjective, then that starts to lose cohesion. You know what I mean? Like, there's not enough of actual... It gets too far on this side of the scale of subjectiveness. We're actually closer to over here, I would say. Because most of the points we bring up are fairly fair, even things that we use equally across all games that we cover, which is one of the only ways you can make a fair system like that work. This is one of the reasons why it's perfectly normal for me to review a game better that I like less, or worse, that I like more, because we are trying to remove some of the subjectivity from the review process. So, adding visuals adds to subjectivity, and it's not something I'm particularly inclined to do. Anyways, I just wanted to talk that all up, because this is stuff I all knew, obviously. It's one of the reasons we got rid of the visual category when it comes to reviews. It's one of the first changes we made to the entire review system, back when we were still prototyping it. Because if I just start saying, well, this game is pretty, except it is, and I actually don't think this game looks particularly good, but, like, I think Soten looks better than this game in like, visual whatevers. Oh, okay, that's fair. Safe. Well, we're committed now, and we're dead. 1 health! 1 health. What? Okay, we're just gonna keep going with this. Is there no sub-weapons here? No, there aren't. Okay, whatever. That sucks. What? What? Why? Why? Hang on, I just got an email from the power company, okay? And you're like, what? No, let me explain this for a second. This email says, and I quote, "Hey, just so you know, it's been over 30 days since you shut off your power." And I'm like, thanks? Appreciate it. Because it was the old power company. Okay. I thought I had her pattern out of it. I just controlled like molasses. Well, we got it. Anyways, to explain what I mean, so while we're here, let's go ahead and talk about the visuals of this game. You're probably wondering why I said it doesn't look good. Well, let me clarify that a little bit. I actually think the brickwork, the background elements of this game look legitimately really good. I think it's probably the strongest aspect of the game on the story axis. A lot of effort is put into making the backgrounds look neat. They do lean a little bit too hard on the... I don't actually remember what it's called. The thing that makes them look like plastic. You know what I'm talking about. But, other than that, I do think... Oh yeah, I keep forgetting I can backflip. Look, Darkrai! I do think a lot of thought and effort was put into the specifics of how to design what and where. Not the so-called fidelity, just the, you know, the actual manual effort, the graphics design. Even the screen we're looking at right now, obviously thought and effort has been put into the torches, and the lanterns, and the vines that are hanging in the background, and we got, like, the dripping stalactites, which are dripping, in case you didn't catch that. Obviously, there's the purple things that are here. These aren't really part of the background, but it's worth noting because they use this purple motif in order to make sure that that's something that pops in the foreground, and they almost never use purple in the background specifically so that it'll always pop. That's color distinction. You know, stuff like that, right? So, cool. That's neat. I'm with that. I've seen better, but it's still good. But the problem I have is the foreground. The enemies and the characters look cheap. And I don't have a better word than that, and I feel bad for using that word. Because I know this was not a cheaply made game, but I don't have a better word to use to describe them. Another word I could use would be the word generic. And if that sounds strange, well, let me try to line something up for you, because one of the weird things about the modern era of gaming is that we have to acknowledge that there are games that would otherwise qualify as very, very pretty, except they don't because they look generic. They just kind of look like every other game of that type. You know what I'm talking about, right? In fact, we covered several games during our recent Not E3 thing, where all I could say about them was, yeah, this looks really generic. Because it did. Give me a second here. And actually, this is Castlevania 1. Pretty much 1-to-1. Like, we even fought the mummies, and then fell, and now we're in the caves. Like, this is Castlevania 1. In fact, one of the things I kind of want to do is look at the stage design, because I think this is really close to Castlevania 1 stage design. Oh, turn around, turn around. That's an interesting statement, Crazy Norse. So, when I think of generic 3D visuals, excuse me, let me actually walk that statement back. When I think of generic visuals, I can immediately think of things. They're all 3D. Oh god, get out of the way! I can get that. Jesus Christ. I'm having trouble actually coming up with a generic-looking sprite game. Yeah, no, exactly. The Division, most Assassin's Creed games, Far Cry, The Last of Us, most of these games look the same. No, Secret of the Stars doesn't look generic. Actually, valid point, Dakota. Secret of the Stars doesn't look generic. Secret of the Stars looks bad. But Dakota is absolutely correct. I can actually think of sprite games that look generic. RPG Maker stuff. It's exactly one of the biggest reasons why the phone ports of Final Fantasy 6 and 5, you remember the ones, looked bad to me. It's because they looked really generic. I mean, one of the most common complaints of them was they looked like RPG Maker games, and there's a reason for that. Oh, fun. And we're dead. Ugh. So what happens when we game over? Nothing, apparently. Oh, we're not dead yet, that's why. Okay. Well, now we're dead. Yeah, those people are unfortunately quite wrong. Dark right. Looks like we do keep stage progressions. That's nice. I was curious. Try it again. But yeah, I would say that, ironically, for a game that's trying to be as stylized as it is, I would say most of the characters look generic. Specifically, generic anime. And you know what that looks like, too. It's a problem I could level at several JRPGs, or Japanese-made games in general, where the characters just look anime. And I don't have a nicer way to say that, because they just kind of look like they're anime. Oh my goodness. That fly wanted that. It is still a net positive gameplay, Jabal, but no, yeah, I would say that this game definitely is nowhere near as good as Curse 1, Curse 2, or Soden. Oh, speaking of which, the HUD should be up to date, but if it isn't, well, the sheet is. I actually updated the spreadsheet last night. Jesus, these flies. Yeah, admittedly, I don't have a better word than generic anime. I might just keep using a generic anime. Hell, several Tales of games tend to have the generic anime problem. Sword Art Online. Yeah. Admittedly, we tend to not cover generic anime games all that much because, you know, why would we? Really? You're not gonna... There we go. Okay. This... You know what? Let's reset our lives, shall we? Yeah, that's the other thing. Asset reuse. I get why companies use asset reuse. I really do. Art design takes a long time. A stupid amount of time. It's actually the biggest problem I myself am facing when it comes to visually presenting the rewrite projects. But the thing is, asset reuse is, I mean, asset reuse itself is not necessarily bad. Not really. It is, as always, how you use it. And there is a really big difference between an asset flipper, which is just garbage, and something that just looks generic. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Why would I make my own chair? Other people already made a chair. So of the games we just mentioned, like all the Ubisoft games especially, sure, a lot of the stuff is reused, but whether it's good or bad kind of depends on the individual usage. Which is why I try only to use that phrase, looks generic, when I mean it as an insult. Because if I say it, I mean it as an insult. Now, Miriam herself is whatever, but visually, and I mean this for a second, really think about what Miriam looks like. Lord knows we saw her dozens of times when it came to those little cutscenes, little vignette scenes. So we always see her, and she's there, and it's like, okay. Ugh, I hate that jump. It's the hard jump, which is why I've never failed at it. Yeah, the total lack of animation does not help anything. I honestly think that properly animated, I wouldn't be as bothered by her as I am. But the problem is she just looks like a generic anime character. I don't know how else to describe that. Especially when she has the maid outfit on. Yeah, exactly. Now, Miriam's not as bad as another character I can mention, and you know who I'm going to talk about. Dominique. Dominique looks extraordinarily generic in this game, to the point of being deleterious to her character. We were already talking about how she's not characterized, which is a problem, and because she isn't, but the fact that she is so generic looking doesn't help anything. It reminds me... How do I explain this? Because this gets into a little bit of art theory, and I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole. Although, Lord knows I got nothing else to talk about while we die on the stage over and over, so whatever, I suppose. So, let's say you have a character. You're sitting down, you've got pen to paper, you're doing the design of a character. Congrats! Now, damn this game. So, you have the option to make your character look like whatever you want to. So naturally, you want them to stand out because they're a significant character, or they're a major NPC, or maybe they're a main character, or whatever, right? Maybe they're the villain. Maybe they're a side villain, but you want them to stand out. So what you do naturally is you make them stand out by giving them wild hairstyles, or garish clothing that's not very realistic, or making them look in some way vaguely inhuman, like the crystal tattoos, or whatever, right? You do something. And if anything I just said sounds familiar, it's because that's what every freaking anime does ever. That's an exaggeration. I shouldn't do that. It is something that is an endemic problem. It's the Dritz problem. If you don't understand what the Dritz problem is, then first of all, I hate you. Because I had to suffer through the Dritz era of running D&D. The Dritz problem is when everyone wants to make their character stand out by going with the same thing everyone else is doing to make their characters stand out. So every character is suddenly this one unique person of their species who's just barely able to endure beyond oh my god, hang on, beyond the prejudices and biases of their people in order to be more than the sum of their parts. And oh my god, get me off the screen! They're all dritzed, right? And so all of them are kind of the same. Now you're probably thinking, well, how do you make your character stand out then? Well, first of all, you jump into a fireball. In order to make your character stand out at that point, what you need to do is you need to think about it and do some design. Not, god damn it, not design from the perspective of an artist, design from the perspective of someone who is actually designing the character. Which, if you're paying attention, should actually be like 3 or 4 different people, because you've got fashion, you've got world building, you've got the actual character themselves and the plot arc they're going to go through, personality. You know, there's a lot of things that can go into character design and should, rather than just making them look cool. Because, let's be very real, what it boils down to, at the end of the day, is people wanting their characters to look cool. And I understand that. I want my characters to look cool, too. See you. Jesus Christ, this is a terrible spot to be in. Okay, we're okay, we're okay. Sure. Okay. Jesus. The problem, then, is you're probably thinking, well, how do you do it? How do you actually make your character design? The problem is, I've already told you the answer. There's no playbook. There's no textbook here. You can make them simple, you can make them succinct, you can make them whatever, but the whole point is you need to make them design. That's really what that boils down to. This whole thing isn't just a character thing, of course. It's one of the reasons I am so big on things like brickwork and doodad usages, because design goes into that. Making someplace look good is, well, to be as blunt as I possibly can, easier than it's ever been to do. But making someplace look indicative, making someplace look evocative, giving someplace a vibe or a tone or an atmosphere, that takes design. And of course, alt-tabbing a game takes, you know, coding it with monkeys. God damn it, I hate when games do that so much. One moment here, because I just got a sub from Meridian. Yeah, obviously, so the big reason why this topic is on my brain right now is specifically because the next game we're covering is Ori and the Blind Forest, which will not give it any positives for its visual aesthetic, because we don't give those positives. But to say that the visuals are not a part of Ori and the Blind Forest is just to be lying to yourself. Thank you, Berenian. Very, very, very much. I will absolutely put that towards Evil Genius 2, Loop Hero, and MechWarrior 5. Thank you, as always. Hope you're doing okay today. The brickwork. Well, we'll talk about brickwork, and we'll talk about doodad placement, and we'll talk about visual distinction, and there are many ways that graphics get involved in the review system, because remember, what we care about is how the graphics affect story and how the graphics affect gameplay. I'm probably going to disagree with you on that, X, to be completely honest. But we'll see as we go. Part of the reason I'm not sure about that is because it's been a while since I've played Ori and really paid attention to the background. Because I do Ori randos. And when you're doing an Ori rando, that's not what you're looking at, you know? Yeah, we should be fighting the creature. We've got 5 lives to beat the creature. Let's see if we can get something worth it down here. And yeah, we'll save that full discussion for when we get there. Obviously, I don't want to pull a Final Fantasy marathon where we talk about every game before we get there, and then eventually have nothing to talk about. Yeah, we're dead. Cool. That was really dumb. Like, we were like, alright, here's FF1, let's talk about FF2. Alright, here's FF2, let's talk about FF3. And there's FF3, let's talk about FF4. And that went all the way until we just kept talking about FF13. We had to make a rule that we can't talk about FF13 anymore until we got there. And then we got to FF13 and it was too late. We had nothing to talk about in FF13. Excuse me. You know, that's a valid question, Darker. I don't know. The creature! Oh my god, it's a freaking cool map. Damn it. I don't know the timing of it. Hey, Saber for once. Yes, the next FF Marathon we do, the rule is going to be we can talk about nothing other than Final Fantasy XIII. That's the rule. Yeah, we've got like 2 stages left of this act, and that's it. We're going to start Ori and the Blind Forest today. We're going to start it early. There's no way we won't be. Someone asked earlier if I'll be giving any brickwork positives to these stages. I've been thinking about it, and I think the answer to that is a firm no. Because the problem is, and I feel like we just talked about this, there's no new brickwork. Something I don't like to do when it comes to the review system, and something I try to work very hard to make sure it doesn't happen, is double dipping. I don't want to give something a positive for the fact that it has a lemon, and then give something a positive for the fact that it has a lemon. It's not just the same style. Some of these backgrounds are copy-paste from the main game. And I've been paying attention as we go, because it's me. So, no double dipping. The stages are completely different. So who was after the creature? I don't actually remember. I ever did. Hey, Kieran. I am not playing Baldur's Gate 3 tomorrow, to be very clear. We're not, wherever Baldur's Gate 3 is on the queue is actually accurate to where we're playing it. No, we already fought Medusa. That was, stage 2, I want to say. Yeah, that'll be Death. I wonder who's going to be Death here. Gremory? Have I ever played the Trine games? Yes. I've played Trine 1 through 4 co-op with me, Pax, and Gary. Well, I'm dying all over the place, although, I don't know. I was never that good at the original Castlevania. Yeah, Yura was going to say that Ori looks generic, which I admit I'm actually going to ask Yura to clarify that if they don't mind when we get there. No, don't clarify now. Rather talk about there. Yeah, generally speaking, we don't play games on release. That's kind of been a normal thing for a while, honestly. Like, not liking Ori and the Blind Forest? That's fine. I know plenty of people who don't like the aesthetics of that game. But generic is not an insult I could see being leveled at that one. Work with me here. Well, I'm sure glad I got that one up so I could redo this entire section again. I'll call it Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Generic. Ooh. A lot of insults I could level up that game, and I have. But that's not one of them. Ping to you, Flagant. I suppose I'm biased, because as I mentioned earlier, if I use the word generic, I mean it as an insult 100% of the time. That is an insulting thing for me to say, especially when it comes to review. If I call something generic, it's a negative. Yeah, how many times do you think we're going to die on that stupid water escape sequence in the tree? It's always that one. The other two don't give me that many issues. But even though I do frickin' speedrun randomizers of Ori and the Blind Forest, I still die out of that stupid water tree crap. Because it's crap. See you around, Bronian. On the VOD. What I call modern 3D Pokemon generic looking. No. Now, I do think there are visual design issues with modern 3D Pokemon, and I do. That I think they should go ahead and solve because they have the time, the resources, the capability to do it. Whoops! We're just gonna move on. We're just gonna move on. Let's just get off this screen. Let's just do this. The animations are absolutely generic. In fact, they're too generic. That's the problem. That's been true for a while, admittedly, but it is still a problem. But the visuals, like just the raw visuals themselves, nah. Pokemon look great. Even the people have a distinct style to them. In fact, when I look at the NPCs in that game, what I think is that that is a Pokemon NPC, because you can tell pretty much immediately at a glance that that's the NPC style they use. The specific placement of the eyes, the shapes of the faces, the animation loops. You get my point. So close. But either way, I'm not trying to be like, you suck, I'm honestly curious of your thoughts. I want you to save them for when we get there so we can share it on camera. I just thought the whole thing was an interesting discussion point, and honestly, it's not like I have a lot to talk about right now anyways, since this is just Castlevania 1 again. Please die, please die. Ooh, that was close, and we're dead anyways. These flies, I swear. Hang on. Loner asked me a question. Yes, you're absolutely correct. Skills have very much taken a back seat in 5th edition. That's been true since 5th edition came out. That was, honestly done via player feedback, believe it or not. Now, obviously not every player agrees with that, because not every player agrees with everything in the entire universe. But that is where that came from. Almost as annoying as actual flies, but not quite. mean, is anything as annoying as actual flies? The answer is yes. Mosquitoes. So this may sound weird. Loner? Oh, thank God. I thought the screen scroll meant that was death. But I would rather they commit to no classes or no skills. It's actually a basic concept that I've talked about for years because it's a very common thing in game design. Do you want homogenization or do you want hyper-specialization in your game design? And, well, which one you go for is up to you. They both have benefits and detriments. And obviously it varies based on the game style, blah, 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 blah. But, and it is a gradient between the two, of course. Yeah. Okay. Sure. I accept that. This is not cool. Okay. That was one of the dumbest things ever, Darkrai. I even know what you're referencing. It's still really dumb. Dragon's Crown? Okay. So I never played Dragon's Crown, which means most of my experience from it is entirely based on a single character. And you know which character, don't front. You know who I'm referencing. And that's the only character I've seen in that game, and the only art I've seen in that game. It's hard to judge it based just on that. It was the Sorceress, Darkrai. Let's see if your health reset. Hey, it didn't reset. Yeah, okay. I would kill for a heal right about now. Or a save point, or anything, really. Probably Cyclops. As I said, it's hard for me to judge based only having seen that single character. Yeah, you should play Kingsfield 1, Mr. Red. Okay, so that's a checkpoint. Thank God. That we're safe to die. Ugh. Yeah, I've been debating this as we go, because this is neat, and obviously someone put some effort into it, but not as much effort as you would think, because, well, the level design was already done for them. Let's call this what this is. This is a remaster of Castlevania 1, and remasters certainly get credit and take work, but this is Castlevania 1. I'm pretty sure that if I was to pull up a map right now, in fact, I should just do that before we fight Death. Who is Gremory? I told you, Big Gremory. If I pull up a map right now, and I'm going to do it, of Castlevania 1, I bet you that I will recognize pretty much all the stages we've just went through. So what I suggest, the DS version of FF3 over the Pixel Remaster. Keeping in mind, I have not played the Pixel Remaster of FF3. Having said that, the DS version of FF3 sucks. It actively makes the game worse. I would legitimately say the NES version is better than the DS version. It's a rarity that I'll say something like that. I mean, Castlevania 1 just... It's a first game, right? We have that phrase for a reason. First games usually are flawed, but interesting, or have problems, or just don't quite click right because they're first games. It's what it is. Okay, so here's the death room. Yep, the death hallway is pretty much exactly what I just went through. Here's the screen we just did. Yep, that's pretty much one-to-one. There's no vertical section, of course, because Castlevania 1 didn't really have vertical sections. So that's different. That is one thing that is noticeably different. But if we go down to, say, the first cavern section, which is, looks like stage 9? No, stage 10. Here we go. Yeah, that's 1-to-1, honestly, with very, very, very few variances. So yeah, if the pattern continues, there is some differences. I can tell just by looking right now, there are some differences. Different platforms, some places have staircases where they didn't. But if everything is according to plan, the next stage, which will be stage 16, should be the bridge, and then the next stage after that should be the clock tower. It's always weird to think how small the clock tower was back in Castlevania 1, because it was so hard to get through. Anyways. So. You know what's funny, Yeehaw? I'm kind of the same way. For years, I've used Castlevania 2 as an example of a bad game that I enjoy. Because I do. It just clicked with me, and I can even tell you why. It's because, there's the bridge, it's because of the fact that it's a Metroidvania. It's a really crap Metroidvania, which was made by people who were basically inventing the genre live on the fly, but it was still a Metroidvania. And I liked the ideas of the game substantially more than the game itself. Because Castlevania 2 sucks. Now, whether it's sushi or not, well, we'll have to decide when we get there. Because I can never tell if something's sushi until we actually get there. Earthbound didn't even get that tag. I thought it would. So, like, this is, for example, both longer and more involved than the original bridge level. That's kind of what I mean by it is remixed. XCOM 2 also did not get sushi, and I expected it to. That one made me sad. So this should be Clock Tower. Also known as Hell. Or it's suddenly Soten. Did we rejigger it? We did rejigger it! Huh, okay. Cool. Of course it looks like we don't have holy water.
Jeeble.
What took you so long?
Sure, we'll do it with dagger. So the first time I ever played Castlevania 1, the biggest thing that weirded me out about the boss fight was that I couldn't do any damage to him. It's very strange. How many of you know what I'm referencing before I explain it? Yeah, you have to hit his head. Otherwise, he doesn't have a hitbox. Yeah, this is the Dracula fight in a nutshell. Nice and steady. Okay, that's new. The game heard me. do not have any movement tech to get away from that. I'm pretty sure I'm actually not gonna manage this. Okay, it's literally just distance. No phase 2? Like, not that I'm complaining, because I'm at 2 health, but I was expecting a phase 2. We did it! We beat the game! Okay, I was actually expecting another stage. Volume! Hold on, we're just gonna turn that down a bit. I was gonna say, deja vu, huh? I like the grin on the doppelganger, Miriam. I suppose this is your last chance to adjust your guess. Even though I should have done that earlier. I really thought we had another stage. I do like this artwork. Unlike that, which, as I've already mentioned, you probably shouldn't be doing close-ups of. I mean, it's literally better than the main game's outro. And I'm not being hyperbolic when I say that. Okay, let's shut down the guessing game really quick, because I didn't want to alt-tab in the middle of that. How do you skip a garden, exactly? And that's just, and that's it, right? Yeah. That does appear to be it, yep. Yeah, no, that does indeed appear to be it. Done, Crazy Norse. Whew, that was hard. Hang on, let me go to the place where I lived before here. Done! Okay, the place before that. Done! Oh, whatever. Alt F4. Let's do the audit super quick so we can move on. What do you call a game with a net negative story but a net positive gameplay? I don't think I have a term for that, actually. Normal, I suppose? Am I happy I kickstarted this? Yeah. I mean, ignoring its obvious impact on just gaming and the concept of these kind of spiritual successor sequels, which I've become more and more in favor of over the years. Yeah, no. I still think this is a net positive game. It's just not as good as I was hoping it to be. That's something a lot of people don't understand, is I can be negative on a game and still enjoy it. I know that it's bonkers, but it's not bonkers that that's a thing. It's bonkers that I still have to keep explaining that. But yes, no, that really is a thing, and here we are. So, let's give a plus to story, believe it or not. Yeah, no kidding, Crazy Horse. And for good and bad, this game kind of broke the door open on Metroidvanias. We got a bunch after this. Yeah, exactly, Blade of all. Games do not have to be the best to be good, nor do they have to be the worst to be bad. Radiant. Not that hard. Alright, so. God damn it, Ross. Alright, so. The reason I hate this game, I gave them my money, and I expected a Metroidvania. Instead, I got a Castlevania. I spit upon it. Patooey! This game ate my puppies and killed my farm. Yes, SciCloud. Generally speaking, when a major patch comes out like that, I just go back and I say, here you go, please. Well, I gotta do some post stuff first, Ross. But yes, that will be our next game. Oh, right. I'm also gonna need that number, aren't I? Okay, fine, God. Probably Crazy Horse. In all honesty, this game, good or bad, was very influential. Oh, shoot, I may have the randomizer turned on. Hang on. Hang on. And if it is on, I'm going to have to remember how to turn it off. It's also stuck in 16:9, so we won't even be moving. We'll just be sitting right here. Listen, tears are for losers. I would never cry at a video game. Don't be ridiculous. Okay, yeah, this is a rando. It's a really weird rando, but this is a rando. Okay, so, alright, hang on. I gotta remember how to turn that off. I'll figure that out off camera. We'll come back to that. Ignore the fact that I'm getting 13 of the 20 warmth fragments up there. Don't mind that. It's just a thing. Enjoy this crisscross of music. No, I'm pretty sure I know what I'm going to do to verify Dark Practice. I just have to do it. We'll do after the audit. Hey, Tim and Ash, give me 1 second, please. Thank you, Timonash. Always appreciate your support. Give me 1 moment. I will jot that down. For Pentiment, Pathfinder, Raw of the Righteous, Rogue Trader. I mean, I have to, Yura. If nothing else, I need to do all the paperworky stuff that happens at the end of the stream. I guess that's not a break in the strictest sense of the word, but you know what I mean. Yeah, stream gap, exactly. I don't actually like Kit Kats that much. Not my thing. I do hope it goes well, Braven. We're not there yet. I'm actually doing the audit right now, Czar. I know I've already got Ori up there, but that's unrelated. Don't pay attention to that. Actually, need to before that, anyways. Oh, I can't stand Milky Ways. Snickers is where it's at. Especially peanut butter Snickers. Yes, that's a thing. Alright, Ross. It's time to go to war. So hang on. Which of the main 6 do you think would really like Milky Way the best of the 6 of them? Because, like, it wouldn't be Applejack. Applejack just really likes something plain, right? So she'd probably like just a Hershey's bar, right? Fluttershy would like something that's not even one of the main ones. Yeah, there's like 3 kinds. I've got almond Snickers right here, Darkrai. But no, peanut butter Snickers, which is also different. Fluttershy would get like some homegrown, like, something she bought at the local shop kind of a deal. Pinkie Pie likes All of them. Literally, all of them. That leaves us with just Twilight, Rainbow, and... Rarity. God, I'm tired. So you probably think Rarity would like some big elegance kind of candy bar, and you'd be very wrong. Because Rarity would absolutely... Are people not listening to me? Peanut butter. Peanut butter. Ah! Do I have to go physically grab it? You know what? No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I got something to do. Here. Look. Look. Look! Look at it! Look at it! Behold its glory! Anyways, but no, Rarity, not only does she love simple, decadent stuff, but she would like things bite-sized, and probably in bulk. So, Rarity would probably like, well, honestly, this. The giant bags of peanut butter M&M's, something like this. How do you need to verify you're not a robot for Amazon? Actually, never mind, I take that sentence back. Answer is Spike. Yeah. So that leaves Rainbow. Rainbow... That's a tricky one. Because she'd probably be into something cool. But I could also see her simultaneously being into something that she's, like, embarrassed about being into. I do agree with you, by the way, Ross. Sorry, I just skipped over Twilight. I think Twilight would go Milky Way. So, I have a really strange question for everybody. Bloodstained. Replayability. Keep in mind I have already separately given pluses for all the little mini-games and optional modes, so that doesn't count for replayability. Again, no double dipping. Now, this is going to sound strange, but I think the game actually gets the second replay positive, not the first one. There are multiple ways to go through the game. There are lots of different build combinations and possibilities. There's a lot of stuff to do, and there's a lot of modes. That's pretty much the definition of the second replay possibility, right? So, we'll go ahead and do that. Yeah, exactly, Crazy Horse. I mean, there's literally a fist-only run already that I know of, and I'm sure there's other ones. It's okay, it's okay. Eat your ice cream. We here at the Lore Walkers are tolerant of ice cream. Unless it has nuts in it. In which case it can go straight to hell. Actually, real talk, I can't stand Rocky Road. Everybody else? Is that just me? Even as a kid, I couldn't stand it. It was just like, ugh. Okay. Almond Joy. I don't like coconut. Mint. I know some people really don't like mint, and that's okay, because I understand that completely. I love mint. Like peppermint patties are some of my personal favorite candies, for example. Whatever they're called. I think they're... What is the name of that brand? York! That's it. York peppermint patties. Love those. Yeah, I could literally have a bag of Yorks, and I have to physically stop myself, because I'm just going, stop. When I was making homemade fudge for Christmas for all the family, the mint flavor was the least popular one, so I ended up keeping it all for myself. It lasted like 2 days. Damn. Damn. Sorry. So this is when everyone hates me, because I'm running through the calculations right now for the golden number, and this is when everyone's gonna hate me. What that is, we're just gonna accept it. Gonna move on. Damn. Whoops. Why would I get sick of Mario games, Triaxio? How is that physically possible? I'm being facetious, of course, but no. Not a big worry. Now, you might get sick of Mario games. Ross! I did not get sick of Mega Mans, no. Jesus. Not even after X7. I mean, we had the classics after X7, and that was just a breath of fresh air, honestly. I really didn't expect Mega Man 4 or 6 to score as well as they did, either. But they did. I sort of expected 5 to be good. I didn't expect it to be that good, I'll be honest. And 11 just knocked it out of the park. Yeah, I honestly feel bad, Yeehaw, because it's clear they were going for something, and they just kind of didn't manage it. So, Bloodstained. Let me start by saying, that just to give you some little factoids here. Curse of the Moon 1 was about 4.5 hours. Curse of the Moon 2 was about 4.5 hours. Soten, which we played just before this, was about 8.5 hours. Bloodstained was 25.5 hours. Now, you know me. The length itself doesn't matter, right? We've talked about this a dozen times, but for those of you who never heard it, the length itself is not significant or relevant. What matters is what the game does with that length. But that's my point. I'm going to go ahead and say that I feel like this game, if it was a bit shorter, would honestly be a lot better. It did have several segments of padding, and it has several seconds and minutes problems, where there's just individual animations or individual sequences, or literally just navigating around the map, which takes longer than it honestly should be, right? And so, cutting the fat on some of the aspects of the game would naturally shrink the length of the game, but I think the point is it's getting rid of the fat, which would make the game overall better. But I just wanted to mention that really quick, because this game got a net +1 to story. Not because it has an absence of story, but because, as Yeehaw just mentioned, for pretty much every positive, there was something else that offset it. That's a 0.04 positive per hour ratio, which is not great. It's not ratio, sorry, wrong rate, we're wrong. Density, it's a 0.04 density per hour, because the ratio is 51.85%. Very, very in the middle on the story axis. Gameplay was obviously a net positive, 21 pluses to gameplay, which is 0.82 pluses per hour, not too shabby. And that is a ratio of 66.15%. Not super great. Can I get a drum roll, please? So, let's line these up. Curse of the Moon 1 was 136. Curse of the Moon 2 was 139. Soten was 178. Bloodstained, and I feel bad about this, but I stand by it, is 55. More specifically, it is 54.99. That's honestly about right. I think that there's a lot of potential here. And I think the good parts are good, and it does several things substantially better than the other games, all three other games I just mentioned. But it just dropped the ball on several aspects that those games nailed, not the least of which being level design. And as a reminder, a 54 is actually pretty much average. Like, straight up. If we were to somehow magically switch over to a 0 to 10 scale, we just gave this game a 5. So let's see who won that one. Oh, wow. A lot of people guessed in the 50s. A lot. Man. Looks like it's going to Diabeepus, who continues to be hacking the game in order to win these. Could you stop using your time travel powers just to win the golden number game, Diabeepus? People are getting suspicious, man. But seriously, we had someone who guessed 53, someone who guessed 54, someone who guessed 55, someone who guessed 55.55. Then they both win, prisoners. If we have equidistant problem, then they just both win. It's like that. Oop. Unlike the United States political system, I'm okay with having 2 winners. Now, let me go ahead and open up the guessing game. So I'm going to close down the guessing game sooner than you'd think with Ori and the Blind Forest, as kind of like a little experiment, for lack of a better way to put it. Just for the hell of it. So get your guesses in for Ori and the Blind Forest early, because we're going to chop that off earlier than usual, because the next thing we're playing is Ori and the Blind Forest. I do have to do my usual post-paperwork thing. I should probably get some kind of food in me. I didn't have much of a breakfast. And otherwise, I will see you in a bit.